gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. You look good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities, Tuesday, May 13th. Thank you guys so much for joining us. A beautiful Tuesday it is here in the Quad Cities. If you're watching live on YouTube, we appreciate that. If you have subscribed, thank you. If you haven't, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff on YouTube. We do appreciate that. We are live on X as well. X has been very good to us, so we appreciate you if you're tuning in, watching on X as well. And of course, we are up on all the podcasting platforms as well. And on a day like today in the Quad Cities, it's a good day to download the episode and go for a run or be outside, take the dog for a walk, something along those lines, because a beautiful Tuesday right here in the Quad Cities. A lot to get to on today's show. Before we get you set up for that, I do want to make a quick note. We've kind of talked about it a couple Fridays ago. We were lucky enough to have Kirk Ferentz on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Coming up this Friday, to make all you Illini guys happy, Brett Bielema, the head coach of the Fighting Illini, will join us on Friday here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. High expectations for the Fighting Illini football program this year, rightfully so. So Brett Bielema coming up on Friday this week as well. But we got to get to today's show first. It's awesome outside. In fact, this weekend it felt like summer a little bit. The John Deere Classic is now 50 days away. In a matter of moments, we'll be joined by the tournament director of the JDC, good friend of ours, Andrew Lehman, to talk about what's to come in July. A big week in July coming up, that is for sure. Later in hour number one, Kyle Huesmann from the Hawkeye Report will join us because we are getting ready for the biggest series in Iowa baseball probably in 40 years, maybe ever. Iowa looking to win their first Big Ten regular season title since 1990. So Kyle will be here to talk about that and much more. And then also in hour number two of the show, it was an awesome weekend at Davenport North High School. They had their 7th annual Life is Bigger Than Sports event. A great soccer tournament celebrating the life of head coach David Gamble's daughter, Kenzie, but also raising money as well for a great cause. And the Davenport North boys, extremely good. Number one in the MAC. They got a huge showdown with Pleasant Valley coming up this weekend. Or this week, I should say. So he's coming up in hour number 2 of the show. Yesterday we had Kendra Lewis, Pat Angerer, and Josh Keener. If you missed that, go check it out. Coming up on the show tomorrow, former Iowa standout Joe Wieskamp will be on the show talking about his camp coming up. He just won a 3-on-3 league that he was partaking in. So Joe Wieskamp coming up tomorrow on the show. Before we get to our first guest, I want to congratulate the United Township baseball team. Once again, their coach comes on my show. Good things happen. I don't want to take all the credit, but the OTA rub is definitely a thing. I think we're giving guys good luck, giving teams good luck. But United Township coming back, beating Moline yesterday. They are the outright Western Big Six baseball champions for the second straight season. So congratulations to Bryce Lucan and the Panthers for that as well. In fact, I'm going to go to United Township later today. I'll be calling the softball game with Moline with my good friend John Marks on MC22 coming up at 4 o'clock today. So if you're a Mediacom subscriber, check that out this afternoon live on MC22. But we're going to start today with golf and a very familiar face, a guy who's hard at work these days. Andrew Lehman joins us now, and I joke with you because I feel like you're more available in like December and January, but like I feel like you get a little busy this time of year. First and foremost, good morning, and 50 days away, my friend. That's coming fast.
It is. It's hard to believe that we're in mid-May already. It seems like it was just spring break, and it's always good to be on. I think this is my fourth or fifth time, so I'll still contend that you're digging in the bottom of the barrel when you ask me to come on. But you look good in your John Deere Classic quarter zip today.
I did that for you. Like I I'm no dummy. I gotta make sure I dress the part as well. It's 50 days away. Take us behind the scenes, and I know your staff is extremely busy. I don't know about you, but I know your staff is extremely busy. What does it look like right now? Is there like milestones that's like, hey, we're 100 days away? Is 50 days away like a big deal? Or is it just another day? Or what does the lead up look like right now with things coming pretty quickly?
No, it's a great question. Certainly when we hit Masters Week, so a month ago, 80-ish days, 75 days, it's full steam ahead, and we had our summer intern start yesterday, and our construction crews have arrived in town. So it's about a 50-day build for us to get the golf course put together and ready to go. And the weather's changing. People are starting to think about summer activities and summer plans, and we just hope that our quad citizens will spend a part of their week with us.
I'm positive they will. Andrew Lehman joining me right now. Talk about how they changed that place, because it's beautiful all year round. Todd Hyduke and his staff and everybody else do a great job. But it goes from being a really awesome golf course to a golf course and a stadium in several areas as well. I love like going out there and seeing the construction starting. What they do is remarkable. Talk about that, because it really is a build. You talked about 50 days and it kind of starts about right now. They transform that place into a place that's going to host, hundreds of thousands of spectators probably over the weekend or the week, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, for us, the golf course looks entirely different when it's here on a daily basis versus when it's tournament time. That we're blessed that TPC Deer Run is in this community. It's a wonderful, wonderful golf course and test for amateur golfers and certainly the professionals that show up here. We just saw Scotty Scheffler shoot 31 under here 2 weeks ago at the Byron Nelson in Dallas, and Michael Kim shot 28 under here. Celia's Mount Rushmore pick.
Yes.
And I think. As these golf courses, they lend their hand to scoring. You look at this golf course in the summer, we've always got, humidity in the air. The greens are soft. But I can assure you that even when players are getting it to 20 and 28 under par, it's not an easy golf course. The rough starts the week at about 4 inches thick. By the time we get to Sunday, it's pushing 7 inches. And these guys don't struggle with that. So, TPC courses outside of the players at Sawgrass, lend themselves to scoring. They've got larger greens, some wider fairways, but we're very blessed to play our event every year at Deer Run. And to your point, it's fun to see the small city come to life over the next 50 days. And we laugh in our office and joke as a staff. There's so many challenges that come with building temporary structures every year versus having, a basketball arena or a baseball field or whatever it may be. And we're excited. It's the 54th edition of the John Deere Classic. We're riding a nice wave of momentum with 2 years of concerts now under our belt. The field gets better each and every year. We're excited about some celebrities that we're going to have here to play in the Wednesday Pro-Am, and it's going to be another great week over the 4th of July here in the Quad Cities. Okay,
let's start picking and prodding a little bit. I was going to start with the field and that kind of stuff, but you mentioned some celebrities on Wednesday in the Pro-Am. Are you talking about me? Did I officially make the list? Is that a thing? Or can you talk about whom might be teeing up in the Pro-Am just yet. If you can't, I understand. I totally get it.
It's fine. We can chat about it. I'm still waiting to hear from your agent. I haven't gotten that letter or phone call yet.
That's my wife. That's my wife. My agent is my wife, and she doesn't let me golf. That's the only reason why. But go on.
Okay. Well, we'll put you on the back burner for subsequent years. No, we're excited. 2023. It'll be tough to ever top having Caitlin Clark here as part of our week, but it was a ton of fun having AJ Dillon and Keegan Murray here last year, and Keegan gets it around the golf course a little bit better than AJ, but I'm telling you, I'm taking AJ in a Oklahoma drill for sure. But we're going to have TJ Hawkinson here, Vikings tight end, former Lion. Should make you happy.
Yeah.
And we've got Riley Moss coming, starting cornerback for the Denver Broncos, and we're still trying. The Cooper DeJean conversation is not dead in the water. So, if we could get 3 former Hawkeye athletes, I keep getting, kind of trashed by some of our volunteer base that, hey, why do you only focus on Hawkeye players? I will admit that we've had conversations with Tyrese Halliburton over the years, have a connection to him, and I don't think Tyrese plays much golf, so he passed on that opportunity. And I think down the road we'll have a chance to get Brock Purdy here, and that'll suffice my Iowa State education as well as my Hawkeye fandom.
See, you admit that you have a Iowa State education. Sometimes I don't know.
I'd love to let's get Brett Bielema here. We can get him in a pair of shorts and you can show off that Tiger Hawk tattoo.
I was going to say, right? Like, you're talking Iowa State, and I get that. You got to make that fan base happy, but the Illini fans, I'm telling you, see, I almost said my golf outing, my father's memorial golf outing, we do have, I believe, last year we had QB1, Luke Altmaier here. There's a possibility he's back next year, or this coming year in June, so I don't want to say I'm out doing the John Deere Classic. What's that?
When is that golf outing this year?
June
When's
14th.
the golf outing this year?
June 14th. Are you ever going to show up? I don't know. Every time I ask you, Andrew goes, I really didn't know your dad and I don't care. Like, that's usually what you say.
We all knew you were a liar, but I don't know that you knew you'd take it that far. You know what? I'm going to pencil it in. I'm going to do my best this year to get out there and support that.
Let me throw this out at you. Claire Peterson was here last year.
Hey, Claire Peterson's retired. And by the way, he's 2-0 against the Claire versus Andrew debate on this show. So I'd expect nothing less.
I don't want you to lose this competition. That's what I'm saying. I said you got to even it up a little
bit.
Right. No, when I say stuff like that about I can hear my dad going, "Knock it off, little boy." I can literally see him rolling his eyes, saying, "Shut up, little boy." So I love that as well. No, and TJ Hawkinson, and think about that as well. Riley Moss having a great career as well. Kind of talk about just brainstorming for those kind of things, because I don't want to go through the process of how you do it, but it's got to be fun to sit back and be like, all right, who can we get to do what where? Take me through that kind of process, because it takes creativity and some fun as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're fun conversations to have. I think that's what makes golf so great, is that, it's a game really for everybody. And I think, from what we've seen, there are so many professional athletes in other sports that play golf throughout the season and have an affinity for the game of golf. We had a great conversation with George Kittle a couple months ago, and he was all in. And then it turns out that his big Kittle Fest event in Nashville is that week. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it. But it's about getting, that athlete experience here or celebrity experience here outside of your traditional PGA Tour professional. It's a fun day. Youth Day is also on Wednesday during the Pro-Am. So you see a ton of kids out here. You start to see some jerseys, and just really, kids getting a chance to maybe meet, one of their heroes. And there are a lot of, for whatever reason, I can't figure it out, but there are a lot of Vikings fans in the Quad Cities.
Careful.
And we'll get those guys here, and it'll be fun. But it's a process every year. You gotta try and identify, who would be available, who would help, drive interest on Wednesday. And, back to your Illinois point, we haven't really had to go down the route of bringing in Illinois athletes outside of golf, because we've had so many Illinois kids play in the field on sponsor exemptions. And Coach Mike Small and his program do such an amazing job on a national level that, those guys have always kind of held their own from a competition standpoint of playing in the event.
Okay, so we know who's coming to the Pro-Am. Let's talk about that. Are they still doing 156? Like a few years ago, somebody told me they were trying to make it 136, like on a live shot somewhere. I don't know, but 156 of the world's best golfers are coming your way. Andrew, I am not trying to kiss up to you. I like to make fun of you, but last year's field, when you look at it on paper and in rankings and all that kind of stuff, was one of the best fields that we've had here in the Quad Cities in 20, 25 years. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. All right, well, that means you raised the bar, young man. How are you feeling about the field? Your thoughts moving forward? You can say names. You don't have to say names. I know how you tournament directors do. But your thoughts on the field 50 days out?
I'd say it's coming together. We've certainly been excited about the field the last couple of years and getting guys that either A, haven't been here, or B, they haven't been here in a number of years. And you look at guys who historically play the John Deere Classic who are doing a lot of nice things. Sepp Straka wins on Sunday at the event in Philly, the Truist Championship. He's now ranked in the top 10 in the world. He's our 2023 champion. So he's playing well. In fact, he and Rory are the only two guys that have multiple wins on the season. You start to look at guys like JT Poston, who won here in 22, and his rankings, and Maverick McNeely, who got his start here as an exemption, is now 12th in the world. Ludwig Aubert, not that we may or may not see Ludwig this summer, but, he was going to play here in 23 on a sponsor exemption and ultimately wins the PGA Tour U race and gets his card that way. And now he's, top 6 in the world. So, it's always been the brand proposition from a player standpoint has always been about trying to do the best you can with established veterans and sprinkling in this next wave of young talent. For example, Luke Clanton has a PGA Tour card waiting for him after the NCAA championships. And he finished tied for second last year here as an exemption. So, I would encourage folks that are out here to get to know the exemptions, do a little bit of research, because they're all quality players. And these collegiate programs around the country are churning out, PGA Tour and Korn Ferry Tour ready players as soon as they leave college. The athletic programs within the game of golf have gotten so much better. Golfers are true athletes. They're treating it as such, and nutrition and working out. And, even these guys that aren't very big in stature, hitting 325-yard drives, they can all move it. They're all great athletes. And we're really excited to, get these next 50 days in the book and see where the field shakes out, and we'll see where we go from there.
It's funny you mentioned getting to know the field, and I think the golf fan in the Quad Cities, I hate to compare them nicely to Packers fans, but they know their stuff. Like, they know golf. And yes, there's Jordan who's won here and Bryson who's won here, and that's awesome, and they broke through here and et cetera, et cetera. But you just mentioned, like, Luke Clanton finishing where he did. And there's several years that these young guns finished in the top 10, top 20, have a nice showing here. And then 2 years later, people are like, hey, you remember when he was at the John Deere Classic? Or, like, he started. So, like, they don't, I guess the point of my question, if it's even a question, is they don't always have to win here to realize that they're going to be some of golf's biggest names in the future, do they?
No, and Davis Thompson fits that same mold. He committed late last year. I think he committed like the Wednesday of advance week. And I remember he and Davis Riley committed on the same day. And it was like, those are two big names, and then ultimately Davis gets his first win here in the Quad Cities. And we expect, he's been playing a ton of great golf. He's playing in the signature events, and we expect him to go on and do, really big things in his career. And it's just, it's an interesting process to go about building a field. You try to have as good of a relationship as you can with these players. But there's no guarantee that, the John Deere Classic or any other event's going to fit in their schedule. And you look at, you've got all these signature events now that have $20 million purses. So you start to kind of hone in on what a schedule looks like for these top guys. And then they're picking a handful of other events to, fill their schedule with. I will tell you that, yes, it is still 156 of the world's best, even though I believe it was you on camera who said 136. If we're
I think it was
this morning.
Corey. We look alike, so it's probably Corey.
I can't pick on my official media partner like that. But also, our field goes from 156 to 144 next year. You see a reduction in the top 125 guys being card carrying tour members down to the top 100. So playing opportunities, at least from a thought standpoint, is going to be, they're going to become that much more important as we get into the future. And I think where we sit in the schedule, we don't have any signature events after us. The last signature event is the Travelers, which is 2 weeks ahead of us. And you've got the Open Championship, the last major of the year, 2 weeks after us. So as guys start to look at where they fall in the rankings, where they are in FedEx Cup points, Ryder Cup points this year are going to be at a premium. So, all those things matter as we get through these last 50 days trying to have these conversations with players.
Andrew Lehman, excuse me. Gee, Merry Christmas, Andrew Lehman joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. You got me flustered. Is what you got. I did that on purpose. Can you tell us about some housekeeping stuff when it comes to volunteers? Kids get in free. I know on July 4th, active military and those kind of people can get in as well. Kind of talk about some of the things you're doing community wise to get ready for this year's Classic.
Yeah, I mean, these are the fun activations that we do. We've got free military all week with a guest. Thanks to Lowe's and John Deere, we've got a military venue all week. We've got a partnership with the Firecracker Run and Joe Marino, where we give anyone who signs up for the Firecracker Run, they can claim a free ticket to come out here after the race on Friday. We saw some great success with that last year on Thursday on the 4th of July. Joe Moreno is like the mayor of the Quad Cities. So anytime you can have a partnership with Joe, it's a good thing. As you mentioned, kids 15 and under are free. That's our brand proposition. We want this to be a true community event and be able to see families out here, because that's what it's all about. There's so many stories that we hear about, hey, I remember going with my mom, my dad, and we went as a family. You try to keep your concession pricing, which we do with our partner. We want it to be market appropriate, so it is an affordable event for families. You look at probably the greatest deal going is you can buy a golf ticket on the weekend for as little as $50 and watch golf all day and stay for a world-class concert after. You look at, there's first responder programs. We've got senior discounts. All these things that we try to do to make it as easy for the community to come out and support this, because at the end of the day, this event for us is about making it a true community event, which is having a massive economic impact on this community of over $72 million. And ultimately, we're trying to drive as much money for charity as we can. In a record year last year at 15.9. So we'll cross 200 million this year in charitable giving, which is going to be an awesome thing to accomplish. We've been around since 1971. The Birdies for Charity program has been in existence since 1993. But what's really fun to call out is we're sitting at 189 million, and 99% of that 189 million has been raised since John Deere signed on as title sponsor. And the reality is even though that 99% of 189, took us since 1997 to get to, we'll probably cross 200 or 300 million in charitable giving in the next 5 or 6 years.
Oh, it's amazing. That is unreal. Yeah. And Andrew, just in recent, and like in the last couple of days, I've talked to people about, and you'll make fun of me, but the price of WWE tickets and how much they've skyrocketed. My kids are excited because the NFL schedule's coming out. And we always go to do a Lions game. And last year, I had to take out a loan just to get a family of 6 to go to the Detroit Lions game. It was crazy. So and I'm not bashing those. Everything is getting expensive. So for families to be able to be here in the Quad Cities and do that in the Quad Cities, you buy a concert ticket and a professional sporting ticket, you're going to spend a lot more than $50, and you can do that right now and go to the John Deere Classic. I've never done this with you. I'm going to do some fun questions. Is that okay?
I'm up for anything.
I
Hey, by
promise-
the way, I love the intro where I had to call this out. Love the intro where Pat basically tells you you're not that good looking.
Isn't it great?
I wouldn't take that level of disrespect.
It's fun because like I have now 4 months of shows that I can redo the open. And even somebody said that the other day, is like, are you going to do a new open? I'm like, no, like Andy Say's always got to be at the beginning because it was awesome. And then Pat is Pat, but I have more stuff from the show I could put on a Pat. God bless him. Okay. Easy one. Favorite food in the Quad Cities. You want to go eat. I know you got great sponsors, so don't worry about the sponsors. They're all great, blah, 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 Whitey's, everybody else. If you and I are going to lunch, which, by the way, I did offer to go to lunch with you this week, and you didn't even respond, but that's besides the point. If you could, what's Andrew's place to eat in the Quad Cities?
Well, first of all, last time we had lunch together, you spilled salsa on your shirt, so
of course,
taking a little break from that. We being near our house, we go to Jerry's quite a bit. Jerry's is a staple of our household. The Valley Inn, my kids love the Valley Inn, which is, just a little hole in the wall bar down there in Pleasant Valley, which is a fun place to be. But, if Gina and I are going to go out and have a nice dinner, it's either Duck City or Monarch.
There you go. Monarch is awesome.
Monarch's fantastic. And by the way, Plus Saporis, which is out by the TBK Sports Complex, if you haven't been there, that's the chef from Hemispheres.
Okay.
Place is fantastic.
Okay. Look at that.
It's Greek and Mediterranean food.
Noted. Are you superstitious? And if you are, how?
Yes.
Give me the weirdest one.
Oh man, I don't even know if I want to.
Now I really want you to.
College football and the Iowa Hawkeyes. I will identify the same pair of underwear, the same pair of boxer briefs. They get washed. I wash them.
It's all clean.
But I will try to wear the same outfit every Saturday in hopes. And then it's my fault if they lose and I somehow forget something. So I very much am so superstitious. I remember being on spring break when when Iowa men's basketball won the Big Ten tournament game over Purdue.
Okay.
And I may or may not have done some hand scrubbing in the hotel sink.
I love it. Anything golf wise? Like when you're out on the course, same ball, same snack, anything like that?
Yep. I only use, I don't carry, like if clubs are giving away tees, I don't take them. I have the same tees that I use every round. I try to use the same ball marker. And if I've got a brand new dozen of golf balls, I don't play 2s or 4s. I only play 1s and 3s.
Yeah, you are superstitious.
By the way, it's not working. Maybe I should play the 2s and 4s. I'd be a little better.
Is Mitch just schooling you and Todd and everybody out there still in golf? Is that still a thing? Dominating?
Yeah, I haven't played with Todd or Mitch for probably a couple years now, but those two dudes can get it around for sure.
Did you do something? Do I need to?
No, you're always so busy with kids' activities. I think I've maybe played 20 holes of golf this year.
Wow. No, I'm right there with you. 20. What? That's a random number.
Well, Ethan and I will go out and play random holes at Davenport Country Club, and we just jump on and go. So
Okay. I was wondering. If you could have a meal with anybody in the entire world, who is it and why?
Just one person?
Yep. Dead or alive. Doesn't matter. Sports,
I would say
non-sports?
Mr. Palmer. I'm one of my career's biggest disappointments is I never got the chance to meet Mr. Palmer, Arnold Palmer. I would love to have had a chance to meet Arnold.
Sure. That's a good answer. Last one. If you weren't the John Deere Classic tournament director, what would you be doing with your life right now?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, let me answer that by saying I'm blessed to be working at the John Deere Classic
blah,
every
blah,
day.
blah. Yeah.
No. It's truly been an honor of a lifetime. But, coming out of college, I thought I was going to work in baseball. And baseball is my biggest passion. By the way, Cubs
coaching, front office, coaching, where at?
No, I wanted to, with a sports management degree, I wanted to ultimately get a front office job doing something. Certainly probably was never going to be considered for a GM, in that role. Those guys are a heck of a lot smarter than me, although I think I could make some moves right now to help that Cubs bullpen if we can get some money spent. But No, it's it'd probably be baseball. But I thank Claire for giving me an opportunity in golf, because I'm not sure I'd still be working in baseball 19 years later. I think the grind would wore you out.
Andrew, do not give up what you're doing. Like if it's a good gig, keep it. Don't give it up anytime soon. Last one for you. You're not wearing a suit coat today. Did you put the suit coat on specifically for the show? Yes or no, and be honest.
Well, first of all, this is a sport coat, not a suit coat. Gray pants, almond brown shoes, almond brown matching belt. I am on day 7 of 8, making the rounds at the Rotary clubs and Kiwanis groups, giving the state of address to their members on the John Deere Classic. So I've got my last one today at the Bettendorf Kiwanis group, and we'll talk to that group, and we never take those for granted, because we get a chance to tell our story from the athletic side of the business to also our charity side, and that we've actually netted some nice charity support out of these groups as a result.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just going to not listen to any of that and assume that you put on your sport coat. Is that better? Sport coat.
Well, gray pants action.
Okay. How's the belt?
First of all, the belt game is always strong. It's a almond brown next belt.
You're a belt bully is what you are. You bully people about belts. You and Claire both.
Anybody who takes a hammer and nail and tries to make extra belt holes in their belt needs a new belt. I got you. Hey, by the way,
you're fat.
We are giving next belts away in the Pro-Am this year, so I'll make sure we get you a couple.
I was going to say, steal one of those for me. It'd be great. Media Day is coming up June 2nd, on Monday, June 2nd. So we'll bug you around then and all that kind of stuff as well. Thanks, friend. I appreciate you doing this. Be well. Answer my text next time, and I'll take you to lunch here real soon.
I'm looking forward to it. Hey, congratulations on all the success. It's been a fun ride these last couple months.
I appreciate you, my friend. Be good. Andrew Lehman, not Andrew Peterson. Andrew Lehman joining us on Off. I'm not going to live that down. I guarantee you I'm going to get a text message here in about 3, 2, 1 yelling at me about that. So John Deere Classic, 50 days away. And I'm not biased. This is just honesty. It's the best sporting event in the Quad Cities, bar none, hands down. And then you toss on top of that the concerts and what they've done. And now we got official word. It's TJ Hawkinson and Riley Moss, both teeing it up in the Pro-Am on Wednesday. Very, very cool stuff. Next year, Sam Laporta, maybe Andrew. We'll talk about that as well. So we're just getting warmed up here on a Tuesday on Off the Air. Coming up after the break, we are going to get to Kyle Huesmann and talk some Iowa baseball, because it is a busy time of year. And maybe the biggest series in Iowa baseball history starts a little sooner than later. It'll start coming up on Thursday instead of Friday. And we'll talk about Oregon coming to town and what Iowa has to do in order to capture that first Big Ten regular season championship since 1990. All that and much more right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Quad Cities, are you brave enough for halfway to Halloween? Friday, May 16th, the Steamwheelers battle on Tulsa in a night of haunted hits and bone-crushing indoor football action. It's spooky fun for the whole family, complete with a haunted house and high-flying IFL football that'll leave you howling. Snag your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets and come get scared and entertained. Friday night, May 16th, presented by Asylum of Bad Dreams and Slick Willie Radio.
The PGA Tour swings into the Quad Cities again this summer, and you don't want to miss it. The John Deere Classic brings golf, music, magic, and more to TPC Deer Run, July 2nd through the 6th. Wednesday, July 2nd is Youth Day, and ages 15 and under are free all week, making it perfect for the whole family. Stick around after the golf on the weekend for the concerts on the Course Series, featuring country superstar Dierks Bentley on Saturday, and Grammy Award-winning Zac Brown Band on Sunday. Come for the golf, stay for the party. Visit JohnDeereClassic.com to get your tickets before they sell out.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo right here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. Always fun catching up with my buddy, Andrew Lehman. John Deere Classic, 50 days away. So if you missed Andrew, and he did confirm, TJ Hawkinson and Riley Moss at the Pro-Am coming up this year on the Wednesday Pro-Am, and possibly still a chance of Cooper DeJean as well. So we're holding out hope for that, but very cool stuff. Speaking of the Hawkeyes, baseball season has been amazing for Iowa. It was weird last weekend. It's huge this weekend. We're joined now by our good friend and the Hawkeye Report's own Kyle Huesmann. Kyle, first and foremost, thank you for doing this. I know you have a lot on your plate. It's a big weekend series. I want to get to it in a second. But was Sunday weird? Am I overly cranky at this for no reason about the tie? Iowa and Oregon State ending in a tie. I get the plane, all that kind of stuff. Just your thoughts on the weird finish to this weekend series with Oregon State.
Yeah, it's been kind of a weird couple of weeks for Iowa. Even you go back to the Washington series where you felt like Iowa could have swept that series. Offense wasn't great. There were some other things mixed in that maybe cost them a game or two there. And so that was already weird. And then they go back here to Des Moines and they play Oregon State. And Friday was weird. 3 errors that kind of cost Iowa the game there. Probably gave up 4 or 5 runs from those errors, and they could have won the game there. And just got beat on Saturday. And then you come in on Sunday, and it felt like a game that Iowa really needed just because of the RPI boost that you would get from a win. And the goal was really just to get 1. And if you could get 2, that would have been, RPI changing, season changing potentially. But yeah, just a weird game, the way it went. Weird in the fact that Reese Buter didn't pitch, and Ben DeTay did a fantastic job to give him a 5-inning no-hit start. Just really incredible from him. But yeah, they go to extra innings, and Oregon State gets 1 in the top of the 10th on a hit by pitch, and Jackson Frost hits the clutch home run in the bottom of the 10th to tie it. And that travel rule is always there, and I hadn't even thought about it. And all of a sudden, coaches are coming out of the dugout, and the game's announced that it's over. It was weird. It was the first tie for Iowa since 2002 against Northern Iowa in that one, when Rick Heller was the head coach at Northern Iowa, and Marty Sutherland was playing for Northern Iowa. So a connection to that last Iowa tie, but weird because I've never been a part of it. You go up to Rick Heller to talk to him after the game, and there's no like, well, you lost. What did you think led to the loss, or what did you think led to the win? It was just well, you tied. So yeah, it was certainly weird. just the fact that that was a really good game. I mean, that was a game that you just had that big hit to tie the game, and you feel like maybe you extended the game, but really it was just to eke out a tie just a few minutes before that travel time. So really weird. I mean, it is just kind of the way it is with teams traveling commercially. They toyed with the idea, obviously before the weekend they discussed this. They toyed with the idea of having that official cut time another 10 or 15 minutes later, but then you worry about if you get a long 11th inning or something like that. Oregon State's in trouble with their flight. So it's just the way it is, but yeah, certainly really weird to have the weekend end like that.
They say a win or a tie is better than a loss. When it comes to perspective, Iowa, the RPI, all that kind of stuff, is a tie better than a loss? It's got to be, doesn't it? How does it stack up when it comes to those type of things, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, certainly better than a loss. They do get half the points that they would have gotten for a win. So Iowa jumped from about 69th up to they're at 66 as of right now at this second. But had they pulled that out in 10 innings, or had they gone on and won it in 11 or 12 innings, they would have been right around 60, 61 in the RPI. So still a little bit left out there that you feel like you missed out on. But yeah, they do earn a few points. It is weird, though. I don't know how it will be viewed by the selection committee, because it's still an 0-2 weekend with a tie. And 1-2 certainly would look different, and 0-3 would certainly look different. So I don't know how they view it. But certainly can't be held against Iowa, because Oregon's Oregon State either, because neither team got a chance to win that game. But yeah, Iowa did get a few points out of it, but certainly not as much as they would have had they pulled that game out in extra innings.
We'll talk about this weekend in Oregon in a second, but finishing up last weekend, Iowa didn't get any help. So obviously they're in Des Moines doing their thing, a big stage against the 10th ranked team in the country and all of that kind of stuff. But you're also pulling for the Illini at the same time. UCLA went to Illinois and completed the sweep. So they didn't get any help there. Kind of give us the big picture standing wise when it comes to the last weekend. Obviously it's not UCLA versus Iowa, but it's Iowa and Oregon, a good team with an eye on UCLA still. Give us the picture as we go in.
Yeah, I mean, first off, going back to last week, it was, Illinois had it, led 9-6 in the 8th of that game, and had a couple errors in the 8th inning that allowed UCLA to get a couple runs, and then UCLA gets a run in the 9th to tie it, and then they steal home to take the lead, which I just don't know how you allow someone to steal home against you in a 9-9 game in the top of the 9th. But UCLA's had a couple of those. They struck out the USC with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 9th last week on Friday to win 7-6, and the week prior, Penn State had 2 errors in the bottom of the 9th, and UCLA walked it off on Friday then. So UCLA's had a couple of close wins, and now Iowa has as well. But you look at the way UCLA's won a couple of these games, and they're squeaking by in a couple of these. But they were dominant after that, beat Illinois handily the last 2 games. So coming into this last weekend, it's Iowa still with a 1-game lead. But the difference is that Iowa plays Oregon and that UCLA plays Northwestern. The interesting thing with Northwestern, well, really 2 things. Is first, Northwestern's got to go to Los Angeles, and we talked about this, I believe we did before the Washington series, that Big Ten teams, the normal Big Ten teams, have not played well when they've went west. So it'll be interesting to see how Northwestern handles that. But also Northwestern at 12-15 right now in the Big Ten, they need a win to make the Big Ten tournament. If they get swept, they will not make the Big Ten tournament. So I'm curious if UCLA, from what I've heard, now Iowa hasn't played them. UCLA, from what I've heard, generally kind of throws in reverse order, where their Friday ace is their Sunday guy. So maybe you see Northwestern just go all out, throw every single if they have 4 guys that they really trust, throw them all on Friday and see if they can go all out for a win. Maybe. But I wouldn't be holding out hope if I'm an Iowa fan that Northwestern can get one, which means that Iowa needs to get 2 from Oregon to share the Big Ten title in a sweep. Although it's unlikely, a sweep would give Iowa the outright title. But yeah, you can look at a couple of things. Iowa missed their opportunity at Washington with a couple of close losses, and then they just haven't gotten help with whether it's Illinois making errors or Penn State making errors or USC leaving the bases loaded. Even though USC did get 2 out of 3, could have been a sweep in that one. But that's generally what happens when you're trying to go for a conference title of any kind, whether it's the SEC, the Big Ten, the MAC. Whoever wins that title, they're going to get a break somewhere. And if it's UCLA, it's a couple of those breaks that they got the last couple of weeks. And if it's Iowa, it's probably USC that helped them getting that 2 out of 3. Maybe it's Northwestern coming up with a big win. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, Iowa can clinch a share with 2. and can sweep with 3. And then depending on what UCLA does, those numbers would change a little bit.
Looking at the situation, we've talked about it ad nauseum on the show. 1990 is that year. It's been that long. And we talked last time about how it's probably most impressive, or one of the more impressive regular season Big Ten titles, considering what the Big Ten looks like when it comes to softball. With all that said, you wish they would have played better at Washington, or take 2 and 3, or got one in Des Moines, but there's still a ton of excitement about what this weekend could hold. What are you expecting? Forget about the on the field stuff. Atmosphere-wise, energy-wise, fan-wise, this has got to be one of the biggest series in Iowa baseball in decades, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's the biggest since that Big Ten championship year in 1990, and I'd have to look through every series to try to find the importance of each series, because I've only covered the team for 5 years, but. Like we talked about, this with Washington, with UCLA, with USC, with Oregon in the conference, this is the toughest the conference ever been. Some people will point to, Iowa's played a lighter schedule. That is probably true. But you look at Oregon, who's in 3rd place right now. They lost 2 out of 3 to Ohio State. So they missed their chance to potentially be in that conversation too. And if Iowa comes out of it with an outright title this week, because maybe UCLA lost to a Northwestern or something, Iowa took 2 of 3 from Northwestern. So there's a couple of teams that have tripped. It's not the same. Like, I think people thought UCLA or Oregon or something was just going to walk in and win this handily, and they haven't. They've had their opportunities, and UCLA, like we talked about, could probably have a couple more losses on their schedule right now. I think this is just a huge series, and I think the fans know that too. And I think you're going to get 3 really large crowds. Thursday is kind of a tough spot because it's not your normal Friday one, but I still think, being a 6 o'clock game, I think people will be out there. I think importance wise, what you talk about with now, the fact that they didn't get a win against Oregon State, the NCAA tournament importance with this weekend, the Big Ten, importance with the chance to get that first regular season title since 1990. It has to be one of the most important, if not the most important, since that 1990 season.
I know this isn't a question you can probably answer, but I'm going to ask it anyways. If Iowa doesn't win the Big Ten championship in the regular season, if they share, are they in? If they win it outright, obviously they're in. If they don't win it, they're probably not in. Or I should say they have work to do when it comes to the Big Ten tournament coming up next week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Right now it's 66 in the RPI. That's not a great spot to be in. Like I said, with a win over Oregon State, they probably would have been 60-61, which would have felt better. If Iowa gets 2 out of 3 from Oregon, I think they'll be right around that 60-61 area. We'll have to see on Thursday when those numbers come out. It'll depend on whether it's a share or outright. I don't know how much difference there would be in the committee's eyes between an outright or a share. Now, certainly if Iowa swept Oregon and that was the way that they got the outright title, that would be impressive. But if they got 2 out of 3 and got the outright title with UCLA losing one, that would be different. So there's a little bit difference of how the share happens or how the outright title happens. I do think if Iowa lost 2 out of 3 from Oregon, and that's the way that they lost it, they'd probably be around 70 in the RPI, and you're talking about potentially needing to win the Big Ten tournament at that point, which is just unfortunate because you're going to look back at a couple of games maybe at Washington. A couple of midweek games, or even that Oregon State game, like I said, that you didn't even get to finish. But that's kind of where Iowa is right now. If they take care of business this week, which would be winning 2 out of 3, I think that, for sure they would get the share of the title then at that point. There's no way to not share or get the outright title if they get 2. I think the RPI would be in a good enough spot where as long as they didn't do something crazy at the Big Ten tournament, like go 0-2, if they were able to win their pool at the Big Ten tournament, I think they'd be fine at that point. I think the one scenario would be if they lost 2 of 3 or got swept, where they would probably need to win the Big Ten tournament at that point.
Kyle Huesmann with the Hawkeye Report joining us right now. You mentioned a quick return time. Thursday is when it begins. Thursday night or Thursday evening. Is the quick turn? Obviously, we know why, because the Big Ten tournament's starting next week. But it's a team that's got some health concerns. How are those health concerns? What are you expecting? I know it's just Tuesday, but how do the Iowa Hawkeyes look health-wise going into a huge series this weekend?
Yeah, the big one is just Reese Buter's status and whether he's going to be able to pitch on Saturday. kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, it's apparently been an issue that Reese has been dealing with all season, not necessarily to this level. It's just kind of been an underlying thing. And he's obviously pitched just phenomenally. And over the last 3 weeks prior to this Oregon State series, had been pitching as well as he had in his entire college career. A nerve issue that flared up in his Thursday bullpen, and wasn't able to go on Sunday against Oregon State. So I don't know his status right now. Rick Heller was hopeful that maybe a week of rest would help. But again, it could be one of those things where, you wait until Thursday, Friday, and, he just can't go on Saturday. And that would obviously be a big blow. And depending on when he can come back, maybe if he can come back for the Big Ten tournament, or if they do make the NCAA tournament, if he could be back. But you just don't know. I don't know at this point what his timetable is for his return. It's one of those where you hope that the rest is going to be enough. The week rest is going to be enough for him to be ready to go. The interesting thing is that Rick Heller, didn't necessarily name a starter. Obviously, Ben Detay threw his hat in the ring as someone that could throw. 5 no-hit against Oregon State is pretty impressive. He also mentioned Justin Hackett as a guy that could go. He struck out 7 of the 10 guys he faced on Friday against Oregon State, which was also equally as impressive. Hackett's been really great in the midweek all year. But the thing that Rick Heller said is, he goes, if we find ourselves in a position on Thursday or a position on Friday where we want to go to Hackett or we want to go to Detay, we're not going to save them. If they get to Saturday, they're okay with getting to Saturday with just basically, neither of those guys. Hackett can't throw because he threw on Friday, or Detay can't throw because he threw on Thursday. They're not going to hold, those guys if they feel like they're in a position where that guy matches up well on a Thursday or a Friday. So they're going to go all out for those wins in the first 2. But if either of those guys do make it to Saturday, I would expect those 2 to be the ones that are available. We'll see here later in the week, maybe by Thursday, if we get, some information about Reese Buter. But again, kind of just a weird thing that has came up over the last week here. Like I said, kind of flared up on him in that Thursday bullpen, and was news to me on Saturday when Heller told us. I think if they were able to get to a Saturday with the Detay or Reese or Justin Hackett available, I think that would be someone that could give you a decent start. Hackett's probably not going to be a guy that could go 5 innings like Detay, but I also didn't think Detay could go 5 innings. So we'll see. But yeah, just, a brutal break for Iowa and for Reese Buter, because Reese is pitching like a second team All Big Ten, potentially first team All Big Ten type guy right now. So to see him have this break go against him at a crucial part of the season is just tough to see for him and for the whole team.
Mentality and the mental game of baseball is such a big thing. Where is this team at? It's not like you get to go around and talk to everybody, but what's your vibe? What's your feel? I don't say this nice. I'm not trying to kiss up or anything, but I don't know anybody who covers the program closer than you. So what is your vibe when it comes to they've played some really great baseball. They're not playing bad baseball right now, but they're not playing their best baseball probably. And the injuries and maybe the pressure of a huge series, but that series at home in a great environment, a great atmosphere, all that kind of stuff. Where is this team mentally, would you say, as they get ready for a huge 3 days in Iowa City?
Yeah, I think some of it is just, kind of what we talked about earlier in the year, where they were playing so well. The offense was playing so well. Kate Obermueller whatever it was, 26 innings in a row without allowing a run. Just kind of stuff that you knew was going to be tough for it to go until the season ended. So they've kind of hit that spot where some of those guys that were super hot are kind of cooling off a bit. And, some of the pitchers that are maybe throwing really well, like Cade's obviously had a couple of rough starts, which you kind of knew was coming at one point. You hope that some of it would stay together when some of those other guys dropped off. But I don't think that, this team has been, is in a bad spot mentally or anything like that. This team handles stuff really well. Rick Keller's talked about it. This is probably one of the better teams that he's had in terms of handling stuff like that. And you talked about, like you said, they're not playing their best baseball. But I feel like the record over the last, whatever it is, they've lost back-to-back series. The Washington game is that they lost to Illinois State, lost 2 or 3 to Washington, and then, lost both to Oregon State and get a tie. So they've only won 1 game in their last, by the time we get to Thursday, it'll be almost be 3 weeks. So, but it's not necessarily that the record looks worse in that stretch than how they've played. A few free bases against Washington, just couldn't get a big hit with runners on base against Washington in one of those games. I mentioned the errors on Friday against Oregon State. Illinois State, that midweek loss, it was just 1 inning. They allowed 6 runs in 1 inning, and that was enough to lose the game. And really that happened against Oregon State too. Had 1 inning on Saturday where Oregon State puts up 4 and they win 5-1. So it's been just kind of one inning here or there, or maybe just a couple of bats where, hey, if you get a single or you hit a fly ball there or something like that, you could have had a run or two that changes the game, or get an out that changes the game. So they've been really close. But I expect this team, from what I know about it, they're going to be ready to go on Thursday, and they're not going to come out and nothing over the last week or two or 3 weeks is going to be something that's going to make this team lay down for this series. I mean, they're going to be ready to go. There's a lot of guys from Iowa on this team. They know the importance of trying to finish this off, this Big Ten tournament title, or Big Ten regular season title, before the Big Ten tournament. And I expect them to be ready to go. I really expect Cade Obermuller to be ready to go. Everything that I've kind of seen him grow from the time that he got to Iowa to now, the maturity, the way that he's grown in terms of mentally handling things on the mound. I think what happened against Oregon State is it wasn't the fact that he walked a couple of guys. That generally this year has not been something that's bothered him. It was the fact that he tried to pick off move and threw it down the right field line, and then tried to field a bunt and threw it down the right field line. I think those are things that frustrate him more than maybe a walk or two. And the way I've seen him throw this season, in the little bit of a rough patch that he's gone through right now, I really expect him to be ready to go on Thursday. Just from what I know about him and the growth that he's had throughout his career to this point. So I expect them to be ready to go. Now, whether that translates to wins or not, I don't know. I mean, Oregon's a fantastic team. They've won 14 of their last 17 games, and those aren't, that they're not playing the bottom of the barrel teams. They took 2 or 3 from UCLA. They swept Oregon State in 4 games. Took 2 or 3 from Michigan State, and they just swept Washington. Oh, wow. So they're beating some pretty good teams. So Oregon's a fantastic team, but I expect Iowa to be ready and give it their best shot this week.
Okay. I don't know what if you like to do these things. Your partner in crime makes predictions and he gets wish-washy, all that kind of stuff. But do you have a thought in how this weekend goes? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Your thoughts, maybe which games Iowa might pick off and win, and are they Big Ten champions come Saturday evening?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think a lot of it comes down to, can Reese Breeder throw on Saturday? Because if he can't, that's a game where, like I said, if you throw Hackett and Dete on Thursday and Friday, not really sure who's going to throw on Saturday. They're going to have to piece it together more than they did against Oregon State. So if Buter can't go, it's going to be, what can Obermuller and Savary do to try to save that bullpen as much as possible for Saturday, just in case you do need to win on Saturday. And of course, if UCLA stumbles against Northwestern, that'll change a little bit. But to me, the biggest key for Iowa is going to be limiting free bases and limiting the errors. They had a couple errors at Washington. They had an error in that Illinois State game. Obviously, Friday against Oregon State, I believe they had 3 errors in that game. They've had 7 errors over the last 7 games, so a little bit uncharacteristic there. But the pitching it's really been just a couple of free bases here and there. Over the 2 series against Washington and Oregon State, allowed 5.3 hits a game. So it's not like those teams were racking up 10 hits along with the free bases. You look at a game like Sunday against Oregon State, they hit a grand slam in the 5th inning, and they had 5 runs on 1 hit. So it's just one of those where if Iowa can limit the free bases, which they will need to do against Oregon. I mean, Oregon's a team with 96 home runs this year. They've got Mason DeVille, their DH outfielder, has 26 home runs, and Jacob Walsh, their first baseman, has 17 home runs. So they've got guys that can hit it out of the park. And if they are going to do that this weekend a time or two, you'd rather it be a solo home run rather than, hey, you walked 2 guys before it, or there was an error before that. So I think this pitching staff is good enough to at least handle Oregon from a standpoint where they may put up some runs. But if it is solely hits that Oregon needs to get, that I think Iowa can do a decent job. But it's going to be, if you walk a guy or you hit a guy or there's an error before that, that's when Iowa can get in trouble against a team like Oregon. But the fact that Iowa was able to handle Oregon State's offense pretty well, hits-wise at least, gives you a little bit of confidence, especially with the fact that Obermuller wasn't his best, Savary wasn't at his best, and Reese Buter didn't even throw. So I think the big key, like I said, is just going to be limiting those free bases, whether it's walks, hit by pitches, or errors, just to limit the damage that Oregon can do. And then Iowa offensively has just kind of got to get back to their do your 1/9 type thing, which we've seen at times over the last couple of weeks, but we've seen times where they haven't come through in big situations. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, it really comes down to, can Reese Buter throw on Saturday or not, because it's going to be tough to win a Saturday game if you have to go bullpen only. But like I said, I really feel good about Cade Obermuller bouncing back, but he's also going to be going against Grayson Grinsell, who's got a 2.5 ERA and is probably going to be first team All Big Ten with Cade. So I don't know that I have a prediction. Like I said, I think I think Iowa's going to come out and put their best foot forward. But I feel like Thursday, I should say, not Friday. Thursday is going to be the big one. If you can get Thursday, you feel good knowing that Savory can potentially come out and win it or at least get the share on Friday.
Yeah.
But if you lose on Thursday, a lot of pressure turns to Aaron Savory to give you a good start. And then again, the kind of the unknown of what Saturday could bring, the pressure will ramp up. So I really think Thursday is going to be important. And I think it's going to be a really low scoring game too, with two pitchers that are allowing, a combined 5 runs per 9 innings. So I think it's going to be a good series. I like I said, I don't think that Iowa's record over the last couple of weeks kind of reflects how they've been playing. They haven't played great, but I feel like they probably should have had a couple more wins in there. So if they can clean some things up this weekend, I think they'll still be in a good spot to potentially do what they want to do this weekend.
And as always, Kyle Huesmann will be in attendance, covering, tweeting, posting, whatever we call it these days. Check out all of his coverage at the HawkeyeReport.com. Kyle, get ready for it. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a fun one. Hopefully we can chat on Monday about a Big Ten championship. How's that sound?
Yeah, and then get ready for the Big Ten tournament, because that'll be the next thing on the list.
And you're heading there, correct?
Yes, I will be there. It's my 4th year in a row. I don't even know. Omaha is one of my favorite trips of the year, though, to just go. They do a great job out there with providing us food in the press box. So, you can go hang out and get your 3 meals and just watch baseball. It's, like I said, it's one of my favorite trips of the year, and excited to go see the new format with the 12 teams this year. Yeah,
not a bad gig by any stretch of the imagination. Kyle, as always, we appreciate you. Be well. Have fun this weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. All
right. That is Kyle Huesmann from the Hawkeye Report. Huge season, a huge weekend, I should say, for the Iowa baseball team. Looking, as Kyle's mentioned, you get 2 out of 3, you can guarantee yourself at least a share of that conference championship. It'd be the first conference championship for the Iowa Hawkeyes since 1990. So a lot to get to, a lot to talk about when it comes this weekend, when it comes to Iowa baseball as well. Well, we've reached the midway part of the show, or the end of the first hour, if you will. Coming up after the break, we are going to be joined by Davenport North boys soccer coach David Gamble. It was a big weekend at North for a huge reason. We'll talk about that. And also, it's a huge week for soccer as well, because the Wildcats have their eye on a MAC championship. So we will be joined by Coach Gamble and much more right after this. You're watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? That fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Quad Cities, are you brave enough for halfway to Halloween? Friday, May 16th, the Steamwheelers battle on Tulsa in a night of haunted hits and bone-crushing indoor football action. It's spooky fun for the whole family, complete with a haunted house and high-flying IFL football that'll leave you howling. Snag your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets and come get scared and entertained. Friday night, May 16th, presented by Asylum of Mad Dreams and Slick Willie Radio.
The PGA Tour swings into the Quad Cities again this summer, and you don't want to miss it. The John Deere Classic brings golf, music, magic, and more to TPC Deere Run July 2nd through the 6th. Wednesday, July 2nd is Youth Day, and ages 15 and under are free all week, making it perfect for the whole family. Stick around after the golf on the weekend for the concerts on the Course Series, featuring country superstar Dierks Bentley on Saturday and Grammy Award-winning Zach Brown Band on Sunday. Come for the golf, stay for the party. Visit JohnDeereClassic.com to get your tickets before they sell out.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad Cities' best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. It's been a fun show so far. Andrew Lehman joined us off the top, John Deere Classic Tournament Director. The JDC is just 50 days away. It's coming really, really fast. We also talked a little Iowa baseball with Kyle Huesmann the last second. It's such a fun time of year because college baseball reaching its postseason run. It's down the stretch we go. Same thing for our spring sports on both sides of the river. That includes soccer on the Iowa side. And it was a special weekend at Davenport North. It's a weekend that I got to cover. And I say that got to as I was blessed to cover for several years at WQAD. And joining us now to talk about that weekend and then the stretch run himself is Davenport North head coach David Gamble. First and foremost, Coach, thanks for doing this. I know you're busy. You got to be teaching all that kind of stuff. This worked out pretty nice. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, I just happen to have a prep time right now, so it works out great.
I love it. I love it. We got some actual soccer to talk about in a second. But I want to talk to you about this past weekend. Life is bigger than sports. It's a tournament that you guys have had, an event that you guys have had. I think it was year 7. And it's gotten bigger and better than ever. Looking back at this weekend, kind of talk about what it meant to you, because I know it's special every year. Obviously, a weekend to honor your daughter and to raise money for a great cause as well.
Yeah, the fact that we have a brand new facility and we have a brand new turf with lights and bleachers now, it's grown from just Muscatine and us about 7 years ago. And now we had 13 teams, including a girls game to kick it all off. We raised I think we're up to like $5,500 right now that we're raising for Dance Marathon in Iowa City. My daughter was really, really involved with the University of Iowa Dance Marathon. And so to keep her legacy kind of going through that, we decided to keep this little tournament going. It's supposed to kind of represent, it's not just sports. Sports is an escape for us. And a lot of times it's an escape from what's really going on in our real lives. A grandmother battling something, a friend battling something. Our soccer family kind of lost a great man, Jay Rollinger, to ALS in February. So we wore a special blue and black jersey for him. For both of our games on Saturday. We always wear teal. You see teal everywhere at our event for my daughter. And then we also honored a young girl from Eldridge who lost her battle with a brain cancer and leukemia this last November. So just to be able to honor some people from the soccer community, our community, it's a huge deal for us. And just watch this event grow to where it is right now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Coach, you look at it, and I lost my father to cancer 13 years ago yesterday, and I hold a golf outing in his honor. And I tell people we raise money. That's great. I love the charity aspects of it. But for me, selfishly and personally, it lets me remember, celebrate, enjoy for one weekend at least my pops. Talk about the weekend, because that's a huge part of it is remembering Kenzie and all the things and who she was as a person as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And one of the cool things that happened the last couple of years is Bobby Metcalf, who used to be a sports reporter for the Times, working with WQAD now. He showed up yesterday just on his free time because a few years ago he lost his father the night of one of our events. And so he says he'll never miss it. It's just one of those really cool moments where you do get to look at pictures. You do get to listen to people talk about our loved ones that we have lost. And it's just one of those, I don't know, it's one of those good feelings. It's a sad feeling. It's an emotional feeling, but it's definitely something that we can keep people's legacy alive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Not to make you cry anymore, but people ask me, like, what would your dad say about all this? Because like and I'm not trying to compare it back to what I do, but it's become a party. Like what we do is a party. My dad was a big partier, so it's like he would love it. He'd love the raising the money. He'd love the smiling and laughing and all those kind of things. What would Kenzie say if she knew that 7 years strong there was an event like this? Honoring, remembering not just her, but what people her went through for so long and all those kind of things. What would Kenzie say to this stuff right now?
We got to thinking about that Saturday night, and after our game with Dubuque Senior at I think it was 10 a.m., we had the girls there from 8. Our guys stayed around, and then we watched Iowa City High play Ankeny, and we looked around, and there was over 1,000 people at a soccer game in the Quad Cities.
Yeah.
And you don't see that very often. And the fact that it's grown to such a big deal that, we're the second largest soccer contest in the state of Iowa besides the state tournament. And I think that's where she would look back and go, look at what we did for Dance Marathon. Look what we've done for those that have lost battles. And look at what we're actually doing for those who are still fighting that battle. And that battle is won sometimes. So I thought it was a great weekend.
And that's the thing too. I always I cringe a little bit with sometimes, and it's just a personal thing with me because people would say, "Oh, your dad lost his battle with cancer," and I said, "No, my dad didn't lose anything. He kicked. In fact, I texted somebody today. It's like he kicked cancer's butt for 10 years, and then he lost. Then he passed away. But there's no losing involved because with Kenzie too, she kicked cancer's butt for a while." So no losing at all. Before we move on to some soccer stuff, for people who are watching, tell Kenzie's story a little bit because got it in college and all those kind of things as well.
Yeah, so she was 18 years old, and they found a 22-pound tumor in her abdomen.
Wow.
And she was a sophomore up at Iowa. And it was when I was coaching at Bettendorf, so we did a nice thing with her and wore Team Kenzie shirts and all this stuff. They took out the tumor, found out it was such a rare tumor and form of cancer that only 11 women in the world had ever had it.
Wow.
And they were all over the age of 70. It gave off the pregnancy hormone. And so when you're 70, 80 years old, and the pregnancy hormone pops up, there's a problem. When you're 18, they don't see that.
Yeah.
They took out the tumor. It was large, and it came back with this rare form. Like you said, she kicked his butt for about a year and a half, and then it came back again in her bones, and then it was kind of somewhat quick after that. So,
yeah.
But that was her story. The community just wrapped around her, and we always said that she never wanted to come home from Iowa. She was a great student. She would go to class at 8 a.m., jump on a CAM bus, go to her chemo, go back to class. Just a real tough girl.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? The family, the community's wrapped around you guys as well. And that's the beautiful part of it. And to watch this thing continue to grow and get bigger and better than ever is awesome. Soccer-wise, young man, you got yourself a pretty good soccer team over at Davenport North. How proud are you guys right now of this program? Because I remember going to Davenport North and the grass field and finding a place to park and all those kind of things and not seeing Davenport North with the Pleasant Valleys, Bettendorfs, all that kind of stuff. First, before we talk about where you're at in the standings, just the program in general, you've got to be extremely proud with where this program has come.
I would say when I left Bettendorf as an assistant coach, I was at Davenport Central before that. We go to state. I decided to go to Bettendorf so I can coach my son. And when we were done with his senior year, I saw the North job opened up. And it had some hard times, 1, 2, 3 wins, something like that in the last couple of years. And then I got in, and one of the coolest feelings as a coach is to watch a program blossom and develop. And one of the first things as a coach you have to do is you got to get other coaches. You got to get coaches that are wanting to grind and wanting to be there. My first coach was Adam Lyons, and he was like, oh my gosh, just the way that this is turning to turn out is amazing. And now I'm hiring old players that I actually coached. So I have 3 guys from Bettendorf on my staff. I have Justin Harper from North High School. He's a teacher there, but he was the goalie at North for the late 90s and early 2000s. And just to be able to bring these guys together, man, my coaching staff is amazing. It also doesn't hurt when you get yourself some players that are athletic and love the game and literally eat, breathe, and sleep the game of soccer.
And the results, Coach, have shown. And we mentioned the stretch run when I started the segment. The stretch run is here. Right now, a big showdown you won last night, a big showdown coming up on Thursday. To be in that position to win a conference championship, I guess before we talk about the actual game itself and a really good opponent coming up, what's it mean to be involved in that conference race and have it? That's all you want is that opportunity to win a conference championship, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think North has been a program since 1987, and our highest conference standings, or at the end of the season, was last year was 3rd. And right now we're in a 3-way tie for first place, and it kind of sets up a very unique end of the year.
Y'all keep tying
with Pleasant Valley. Do what?
You all keep tying, like everybody. Like
we do.
So somebody's got to win, right? Go ahead.
Yes, I agree, and hopefully it's us.
Yes.
But it doesn't always happen that way. But just to be in that situation here at a Davenport school, to be able to do something like this is it's a great, great honor. I think all of us, the players and the coaches, our soccer community, it is neat to see new blood every now and then. You know, I was at Bettendorf and we didn't want any new blood. No new blood to speak of this. But when you're on the outside of that, it's really super cool to see that a program that you're affiliated with has worked its way up to not just being talked about in the eastern side of the state, but now is kind of statewide. And we're being invited to tournaments now that we never used to be invited to. And we're having good showings wherever we go. Even with, we lost 2 games in the last 90 seconds of both games. Otherwise, we would have had a tie.
Yeah.
And so with the new tie rule, that kind of helps the smaller teams like us.
Yeah.
Because we are the smallest 4A school in Iowa.
Wow.
Only by 20 kids.
Wow. And Coach, you look at it, you go to Pleasant Valley, a 7:00 start on Thursday. And you mentioned it. And there's that cliche, and I'm not a cliche guy, but to be the best, you got to beat the best. And when it comes to that's Pleasant Valley is a standard bearer for what MAC soccer's been for a long time. What do you tell your kids? How do you prepare not just X's and O's wise, but mentally for that stage, that opponent, that opportunity? What have you started to tell your kids as you guys get ready for Thursday?
We haven't talked about Thursday really at all as a staff to players. I think both of us had trap games yesterday, and they were battles for both Pleasant Valley and us. So I really do think that now today is the day that we actually start focusing, just like we've done all year. Does it have a little bit more on it? Sure it does. But right after this game, win, lose, or draw, I mean, really the only thing we're going to maybe get out of it is a T-shirt. Other than that says conference champs, right? Other than that, our second season starts the next day. And what I loved about our schedule is that after we play really, really tough teams, we play really well for the next few games because we're playing at such a high speed. The fact that we're going to play arguably the best team in the eastern side of the state on Thursday, that means we're going right into districts at a very high speed level. And so I don't know, we find out our districts today, and I'm pretty interested to see who we all draw. Are we going to be in the same district? Are we going to be spread around? I don't know. We have a very nice record of 12-3-1. It's pretty impressive to be even able to be talked about in some of the realms of, like you said, the Bettendorfs and the PVs. You have great coaches of Wayne Ward and Ben Pennington. You now have Franco Munoz over there, and Todd Hornaday. I mean, that's a staff too. Our staff, we're young. I'm not, but everybody else is young.
Oh, come on.
And
They are
hungry. They're coming right out of college. They have all these different drills that they loved in college. They played at a high level, and we're just trying to bring our guys to play at the same level as Bettendorf and PV and Iowa Cities and stuff like that. So just to be there, it's not just that cliche of, it's just great to be there. We want to win this. We want that T-shirt. I'm not going to lie to you. But it is also going to set us up for that second season. And that second season, we had an analogy all year. Everybody getting one train, there's enough gasoline to get to Des Moines. If we start making more trains to go and we're not on the same train, it's going to be very hard to get there with that amount of gas. So we're there and we can see it. And I really am excited to see how this season unfolds with these young men.
It's a big game. It is, or a big match, if you will. Thursday night at Pleasant Valley. Coach, I wish you the best of luck. Maybe we could do this again with a district championship or a conference championship or a state championship, all those kind of things. Would love to chat with you again. Proud of you, proud of what that tournament has become, because I remember covering the first couple years of that and seeing what it can be. And for you guys to continue doing what you're doing, be very proud of yourselves, and Kenzie's smiling. with what you guys did this past
Well, and
weekend.
you made me cry back then too. So
that's what you texted me yesterday about crying. I'm just like, and here's the thing is like, sometimes, not the bad part of what we did and what I used to do is sometimes crying is good for TV. Like, it's not a bad thing, but no reason to cry because she's extremely proud of what you guys are doing. Not just this past weekend, but she'd probably be your biggest fan moving ahead to this week as well in the postseason, all that kind of stuff. So
yes, Thursday she'll be there with us.
I love it. Get back to work. Slap Jeremy Moser on the back of the head if you see him and tell him I said hi.
I will definitely.
And all those knuckle, Coach Height if he's roaming around there and all that kind of stuff. I appreciate you. Best of luck this postseason. And we'll talk to you again real soon.
All right. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Appreciate you, Coach. David Gamble, the head boys soccer coach over at Davenport North. I love it when things like workout schedule wise. I texted him last night and he's like, yeah, I got a prep period. This will work out perfect. And I said, that's because I love the live aspect of doing this kind of stuff. So awesome to talk with Coach. Great match coming up. MAC soccer, always one of my favorite things in the spring. So Pleasant Valley hosting Davenport North, MAC title on the line. So if you love high school soccer, go check that out coming up on Thursday. Well, we got one more break to get to. We'll wrap up another edition of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo and look ahead to the rest of the week because some exciting things coming the rest of this week. We'll talk all about it coming up after the break. You're watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. Thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. It's been a fun show. Always fun catching up with Andrew Lehman from the John Deere Classic tournament director. I wore my JDC shirt just for him. Great catching up with him. 50 days until the John Deere Classic. So we talked about how the field's shaping up, how the course is shaping up, all those good things. Also, maybe some breaking news, but TJ Hawkinson and Riley Moss will be teeing it up in the Pro-Am on Wednesday at the John Deere Classic, possibly still holding out hope, maybe Cooper DeJean. But great to see some former Hawkeyes coming back and teeing it up at the Pro-Am for the John Deere Classic. Also, Kyle Huesmann talking about the Iowa baseball team. And then it was awesome to catch up with head coach over at Davenport North, David Gamble, about, one, the Life is Bigger Than Sports tournament that was this past weekend, but the Wildcats are good, and they got a chance to win the MAC championship on Thursday. Great match setting up with Pleasant Valley. So we'll keep our eyes on that one and kind of follow up with that maybe on Friday as well. So we mentioned it at the top of the show, but coming up on Friday, Illinois head football coach Brett Bielema will be on Off the Air Friday morning. So make sure if you're an Illini fan or a Big Ten football fan, you note that and check out the show coming up on Friday. Tomorrow's show, really excited to welcome Joe Wieskamp into the show for the second time. Joe has his camp coming up in June, so I want to tell everybody about that. Also, the success that he's had professionally this summer already, or spring, I guess. And then also want to talk to him about the new head basketball coach at the University of Iowa, Ben McCullum, and the way that program looks moving forward. So Joe Wieskamp on the show tomorrow. Also, it is Wheelers Wednesday. We got to chat with the Wheelers and get things back on track because they lost this past weekend, but it was only the first loss of the season. Nothing wrong. We're not here winning. The goal is not to get to 6-1. The goal is to win an IFL championship. So we got our Wheelers Wednesday coming up tomorrow as well, and much more. So Thursday we'll kind of look at the NFL schedules. I'm trying to figure out something with that. But I know Wednesday's a big night when it comes to the NFL schedules. They'll start leaking out. They're leaking out now. In fact, the Bears, we know that they'll play on Black Friday against Philly. Go Eagles. And they'll play against the Packers. They'll host the Packers on December 20th, which is week 16. So a few of their games are already being leaked out. We'll probably know more tomorrow during the day as well, so we'll talk about that. But Thursday, we'll have Throwback Thursday. And then on Friday, Brett Bielema talking Illinois football as well. We talked about it a little bit with Coach as well, but and with Andrew Lehman. But the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing is set for June 14th. We have a couple teams still available. And that's not a bad thing. We got a lot of teams signed up. We're excited about that. But come take part, see some familiar faces, and have a great day of golf, raising money for a great cause, honoring, in my opinion, an amazing dude and my dad. So a little biased, but I think most people would agree. Guy Randazzo was pretty dang good. So anyways, that'll do it for today's show. Thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. As we leave you, as we always do, we want to thank our fantastic sponsors for everything they do, allowing us to do this silly little show every weekday at 10 a.m. right here in the Quad Cities. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.